yeah, is someone going to be shocked if they see me at church or if they see me at a church function and they know the life I live outside of Sunday?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Because, I was just thinking that people are probably afraid to take that kind of a stand, to draw that kind of a line because, okay, now I've got to live up to it. Hey guys, it's Chris and Brad. We're back with you, and we wanted, to talk about something that we started talking about last episode about the difference between being a Christian and being a Christ follower or being a disciple. Because that was kind of that was a hot topic. That got stirred up, and I think that was really something we needed to jump into and talk a little more about.
Yeah, no, I'm passionate about that right now. I really am. I don't know what it is stirring in me about that, but I think it's the whole, just how many people are saying one thing and doing another. I think that's kind of where it comes from. I don't know. I don't know, but man, I totally, I love Christ follower. I love disciple. I love that you have to, Christian's awesome. It's of course it's awesome, but it's like, it's something that's been so watered down, so overused. It's, you know what? I'm going to say this, and this is going to be a little bit like, there's going to be people that might get mad. It's the same thing as the word hero. The word hero lately, I feel like it just gets watered down and it's thrown around like, wow, that person, didn't sit in that chair. That was heroic. And it's like, well, maybe in some cases, maybe it was, but overall it's just used over and over and over.
Sure.
And
that person decided to show up on a Zoom call. That was so brave.
Yes. Yeah. I have a feeling I've heard that before. But no, and I get the concept behind it. I understand, hey, that was hard for that person to do. But I think the word hero, there's a lot of weight behind that.
Agree. I agree.
And then you have, paralleling this, right? There's a lot of weight behind the word Christian, but it's so watered down. Sure. That's why I would love, so people, sometimes they look at you, we're like, oh, do you go to church? Are you Christian? We're like, I'm a disciple. And they're like, okay, chill out, Peter. All right. Like, I don't know if you've looked around, but it's not 2,000 years ago. You're not a fisherman.
You're not on the Damascus Road.
Exactly. Right. So you do get some weird looks, but so I do like Christ follower, because that is a little bit more like, oh, okay, I can get behind that. But what people aren't understanding is the word Christian and disciple, like, it should be the same thing.
It should. Yeah. Right. Well, because, and I think you mentioned this last time, as far as the word Christian's only once in the Bible. And it was not really used for, disciples and all that. It was just kind of, it was starting to be introduced. In fact, the term started off with being an insult. This little Christ, that. And so, for those listening who don't know that, right? It was an insult. You little Christ, you all think you're little Christ running around and all that, but it's supposed to be an insult. But when you think about it, don't we want people to think that we're trying to be little Christ? That's the goal we're trying to run around. So for somebody just to be like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I was gonna do the California thing, and then I thought, oh wait, that might be offensive.
Hey, I'm Texas born and bred, but I have this Cali accent. I don't know where it came from.
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Christian, yeah, dude. But again, it is. It's like, so what does that mean? What do you mean? My family went to church. I don't know. I'm getting stuck on that accent. But it doesn't have the weight, and it should have the weight, and people throw it around like it means something. And unfortunately, it tarnishes it because of that, right? It diminishes it.
Yes, that's what it does. It really does. It diminishes it. It brings it to where it's real flippant. right? Like you just say it. Oh yeah, no, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I go to church. I, do the things. But then if you dig into their life, it's not that, right? It's not being Christ-like. And so that's why I love, disciple just has like that weight behind it.
Yeah.
But it's also putting the onus on you, right? Like I'm making a statement and that person's looking at me like, okay, like, are you real? Is that what you're really saying? And then, okay, well, look at my life. Yes, I mess up. I sin clearly. I do all those things. It's kind of like I've said on my marriage podcast is if I'm at church and I run into someone I work with, are they surprised I'm at church because of the person I am? Or are they surprised I'm at church just because, or are they not surprised because they see me and they're like, oh, you know what? I didn't know you went here, but I figured you went to church. Or or are they shocked because they're like, what?
Yeah.
That
you
dude
go
goes
to church?
Yeah, exactly. And that hit me real probably a year ago when a lot of the guys that I work with started showing up to church, our church. And I didn't know they were going to come. And they just started showing up. And, thank goodness they weren't surprised by seeing me there. But that's kind of one metric, right? That I don't use it but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, is someone going to be shocked if they see me at church or if they see me at a church function and they know the life I live outside of Sunday?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Because, I was just thinking that people are probably afraid to take that kind of a stand, to draw that kind of a line because, okay, now I've got to live up to it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I was going with that. And see, that's why you're here.
I'm just glad to be here to support you. just to help you. but no, it is because look, even say Christ follower, stuff like that, or maybe or in the work environment, or at home, or if I start to pray with my family or start to try to do a devotion, all that. Okay, now all of a sudden there's this expectation that my life better be hitting on certain cylinders, or if not, I'm some sort of hypocrite. I'm some sort of what's not charlatan is the wrong word. What am I thinking? Sham, kind of a thing.
Yeah. No.
But I love that how you said, but it's not like I have my life completely together.
No, exactly.
Work in progress.
Hey, I will be the first to tell people like I am not perfect. You will find fault. I do fail. Like I am the first to say that. And it's just because of experiences I've been in and kind of understanding what other guys are going through. I had the opportunity once to be leading a men's group, and there was a young guy in there, and we got done, and he was trying the church thing, right? Trying to get involved. Signed up for this men's group. We're in there first night. We get done, and we're leaving, and he stays behind. He's like, "Hey, I just, I need to talk to you." And it was me and another guy. And I was like, yeah, what's up, man? And he goes, I need people around me that I can count on that won't fail me. And I stopped him and I was like, listen, man, I'm going to fail you. Wow. Like I will. I don't want to, but I'm going to fail you. I will let you down. I don't want to do any of that, but that is what's going to happen. I go, but if you're leaning on me or the gentleman next to me or someone physical like that to not fail you, I was like, you are going to be disappointed all the time. And we just sat there and I was like, as cheesy as Christianese as this sounds, like you need to lean totally on Jesus. That is what completes you. He will never fail you. He will never give up on you. He will never let you down, and I just kept going over and over that. But his face when I told him, I'm going to fail you. I'm going to let you down. I'm going to do that. It shocked him because he'd never had anyone like be truthful. So yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
will say I'm a Christ follower. I'm a disciple. I get in the word as much as I can. I want to do all these things, but at the same time, I'm like, I will trip, I will fall, I will fail you. I am constantly going to God for grace. Like, I need it.
No, dude, that's my morning prayers. Thank you for your mercies made new every day, and thank you for your long-standing patience. I mean, it
100%.
and I mean them every time that I pray that, because I want God to be so much more long-standing patient with me than I have, but
Yes.
or that I am. But it's also is an effort that I can be better the next day, that I can, can learn from that long-standing patience, to recognize that, what, God's being patient with me. So I better take pause the next time I want to start, flying off, and like because we're mere mortals, don't I like what Paul said, follow me because I'm following Christ. And that's why, wives and children should be following their fathers, because they're following Christ. But don't depend on us. So don't make us God. Don't make us your idol. Lean on God, because that way, when we fall down, you still are, Jesus didn't let you down.
Yeah.
We want to be a reflection. We want to be hands and feet, but don't depend on us or the church or anything. Because we're all mere mortals. We're gonna have bad days. We're gonna get hangry.
Yes. I got hangry today.
Yeah. There's a reason. I know. There's a reason I don't put an ichthus or, a fish on the back of my car. It just, yes. I know that's when I'm most likely to have my bad moments.
Right. So, I agree with you.
maybe I should put one on there so that way I have a little more accountability, thinking, I got that on the back of my car.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I got my church logo on the back of my car. Better chill.
Roll up in the parking lot of church, and the pastor pull you aside and say, "Hey, we got a call, and
I need you to take that off."
Yeah.
Oh gosh. No, it's I love that analogy, or not analogy, but like, even with our kids, they follow us, they follow everything you do, they watch you, you don't even know they're watching you, and they're watching you, right? And so even in that sense, if you aren't leading your household spiritually, the same, they're not going to take it as serious as they should, right?
Sure.
And you don't want to let down your kids, you don't want to, any of that, right? But it's going to happen. I've said sorry to my boys and my daughter like multiple times, because I handled something wrong. I dropped the ball. I was human, right? And I don't want to be that to my kids, but I am. But I'm hoping we're teaching them the right way, in the sense of like, hey, yes, I'm trying to do my best, but you do have God with you. You have Jesus. You have this other relationship. And he won't, like I said before, he won't let you down. He won't drop the ball. He won't, leave you alone. He won't abandon you. But they won't understand that unless you explain that, unless you teach that and live it, really. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
they
totally understand. Like it's I mean, it's so hard to parent nowadays, to be even a father, a good role model, with, especially if your kids are like, why'd you let me down? You're not a good role model. You're not a good father. You're not doing these things right. But if you have that, if you are following Christ and you have that help, that extra help, because you need it, that helps out a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then that helps your kids understand that he can't do this alone. He is trying to do his best.
Right.
He is trying to lead this household spiritually, and there will be fault, and there will be, it's tough. I don't even know. Like, wow.
Oh, it is tough. Well, and you're kind of like you're saying, you're leading them someplace. Right. If we're not leading them to God, and we're not leading them to lean on Jesus, if we're not leading them to follow them, that we're leading them someplace.
Absolutely.
And whether it's our own fears of failure, and we're not okay with the fact that, we set ourselves up to be this role model that we're going to fall down and fail on, which whether we like it or not, we're already a role model. So might as well be intentional about it. Might as well,
yes.
Might as well say, I'm trying. Might as well say, this is the direction that we're going in. This is the direction we're going in. But also it's what a great example of saying that, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fall and to falter. It doesn't mean that we're beyond redemption. It doesn't mean that we're beyond being restored and, and having, forgiveness and reconciliation.
Yeah, no, I think a good role model is someone that you can look at and you can take all the good that they do, but also you can see the bad. And you get because like experience from my experiences, like even with work, like I'm a brand new guy at work and I all of a sudden hook on to a guy that I'm like, man, that guy, like, that's where I want to be in 10 years. Like he's doing all the right things. Man, it looks like he's got it all together. He doesn't do anything wrong. Like I'm going to just be in that dude's shadow and do everything he does. And then you turn the corner and all of a sudden he does something stupid. And you're like, what? And like, I remember a moment and that's happened to me. And I was like devastated because I'm like, wow, I thought this dude had it all together. Here I am, like following this guy, but what I did learn from that is the bad.
Yeah.
Right. And so like being a good role model isn't like us as men, like we should have other men in our lives, ahead of us, behind us, and to the side of us. Right. So ahead of us is someone older, behind you, someone younger that you can mentor. And to the side of you is like the peer, same age-ish, right?
Yeah.
That they, you can relate to. But all these men.
Did you just take a shot at my age?
But I mean, you are ahead of me.
I think Brad's calling me old.
I did say ish.
Ish.
Okay.
Ish.
But you surround you surround yourself with these men, and you can't and they can't just act perfect all the time. And so you're getting these godly men surrounding you, and you're surrounding yourself around them, and you're seeing the good and you're seeing the bad.
Yeah.
And that's what draws people to this walk, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're not all perfect. Like, I mean, 20 years ago, you walk into church, like you better not be wearing shorts. You better have a tie on. You better have the jacket on. Like, this is how, if you walk in with shorts, like somebody's getting up like, hey, dude, you need to get out. Yeah. Like you clearly don't belong here. The culture's changed a lot since then.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's the realization of like, hey, what are we really doing? Right? We want to spread the gospel. We
reach people. Yeah.
We want to reach people, right? Jesus, I hear this all the time. Like, and so I will say this, we want to reach people. We want anyone to walk through the door, but we don't want them to stay where they're at. Right?
Yeah.
So in the sense of like, you'll hear people all the time like, well, Jesus loves me just the way I am. You're right. You're right. He does love you just the way you are, but he doesn't want you to stay there.
No, loves you way too much to leave you there.
Yes, exactly. Because I've talked to other guys that have hangups, and they're like, no, I mean, Jesus welcomes me with open arms. Like he loves me. And I'm like, you're 100% right, man. 100% right. But also I love that. I never said that. Like, well, he loves you enough. He loves you enough that he doesn't want you there anymore. He wants you to move closer to him, and so, yeah, people get that skewed. I mean, yeah, way back in the day, I think it was a little bit harder to be quote unquote accepted into that fold. And now I think the culture has definitely changed where I know you just see people, it doesn't matter who they are, just come in.
Oh, yeah.
And the love is there.
Well, you had this traditionalism, right? Like this, it was a club, right? We talked about that too. Like this, we're not a club, so all is welcome, but this idea that you've got to fit a certain mold, that you got to look a certain way, talk a certain way, be a certain way. And if you don't fall into that, well, then you're not welcome. Or until somehow you learn how to get on board and look and speak how we do, and then you can belong. And that's so far from what God and what Jesus is about, right? Jesus is so much, the open arms saying that all are welcome, suffer the children onto me, everybody, come bring everybody to me the way you are. And now let's get better together. Let's strive, forward to reach the goal. Let's work this out. Because, kiddo, thinking with this good role model, this idea, and I heard recently that people who are seen as the ones who don't ever fail, they're just not believed anymore.
That's so true.
Yeah. Today's, especially the generation millennials, and Gen Ys and all that, they're like, they know there's no such thing as an infallible person.
Exactly.
And so, so if you try to put on that front, we know that you're fake. It's just not going to even be there. And that being someone who struggles, who falters and gets back up and pushes forward and accomplishes in spite, that's relatable, because we're all falling and struggling.
I love it's the whole, like, Instagram, social media, where it's like, this is it, right?
Yeah.
I never falter. Look at this beautiful picture. Look at, all these things. But everyone knows there's a reality behind that. That's not always the best thing. That's not always the prettiest thing. It's, oh man. Yeah. I will turn off immediately in my head when I'm talking to someone and I get that feeling of like, oh, you're perfect. Oh, I try to listen. I try. But in my head, I'm like squirrel. And I start thinking of something else. I'm like, is he done talking? Okay, he's done. All right, I can go now. Like, okay, buddy, you never struggle. Like, this is so untrue.
Is it bad to like want that person like to trip on stage? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Like,
is that wrong?
You walk off and trip. Yeah, I don't want you to get hurt. I just want you to trip.
Just miss that.
Just trip. You know what? That
feels wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It does. But so the way, like, when I was raised, we, very, funny, my parents were always, joking around and stuff like that. Well, not always. I got in trouble a lot. But anyway, clearly they were parenting. But what that taught me too is to laugh at myself. So I think that's a good quality to have, not because I have it, but because you're able to accept fault. And so, like, I know I'm not perfect. I'm never going to try to be perfect. I mean, I've tripped downstairs in front of everyone and my whole tray of food spills everywhere. What are you going to do? Get up and like run away? No, you just get up and laugh about it. But it's one of those things where it's like, I can't hide my faults. So why try?
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm trying to be who I am.
Well, and also, isn't that the stuff that gives great stories to talk about later?
Oh gosh, yes. So many.
But like people are like, oh, what's the most embarrassing thing that happened to you? I don't know. My shoes were untied. But no, but I had food. I fell down stairs. Food's in my face. It's all over the place. That's awesome.
Exactly. That is a fun story. It makes sense that people don't want to see the perfect all the time. Like, new generation, I think every generation should be like that, but the new generations where it's like, I know you're not perfect, so why are you trying to be perfect? I want to strive to do everything right, but I can't. I'm human.
Well, got to have that humility. And actually, I think it's, that's when I take myself the most serious, is when God like allows me like to step into a deep mud puddle or something like that, or open a bottle and it like sprays on me or something like that. Because then I just laugh at myself. Okay, God, that was funny. That was funny.
Absolutely.
I need to slow down. But and just going back to what you were saying all the way at the beginning, man, about that Christ follower, that disciple, the people doing the things. And I was just, and it made me think about James 1:22, is about being doers of the word and not just hearers only, because we deceive ourselves. when we do that, right? When we just say, oh yeah, I hear that I'm a Christian, whatever, we're actually deceiving ourselves. Because if we're not doing it, if we're not living it or trying, right? If we're not
That's
making
so,
an
yeah,
effort to live it, then, then we're just lying to ourselves.
I love that.
And
What
I
was
don't know
it,
if
James?
James 1:22.
Okay.
Because I don't know I don't know if people are trying to fool others, or we all want to belong, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
by the way, you all belong here. If you're here,
Yes.
welcome. You belong. And maybe that's it. Oh, I'm a Christian, so I belong, and so I'm just part of this. And that's that. I guess that's cool. Be a part, but and that's where But let's make words mean things. As far as, okay, well then, yeah, but let's follow. Let's be a doer. And if
Oh
that's
yeah.
and if that's the case, because and it's not hard. Think about
No.
it. What's the greatest command? Love God.
Yes.
What's the second greatest? Love others as yourself.
As yourself. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. That's those two things probably aren't too hard to knock out. Then Jesus asked, another new command: love one another as I've loved you. Okay, that amps it up. That takes the notch up, because that's some sacrificial stuff. Because
yes.
and all, that
Absolutely.
Love your enemies, pray for them. Okay, you're asking more of me, God. But it's a progression. It's a move things. It wasn't God saying, okay, you got to do this now, and you got to get right, and you don't mess up or you're gone. It was like, hey,
yes,
this is a new way to live. This is how you start to do it. And
I love that. Gosh. Yeah. Well, no, I love it because, just like you said, like if you mess up, you're gone. Like that's not the case at all. And I think that for some men, besides like the emotional maybe side of it, that might be something that scares a lot of guys, where it's like, I'm thinking about going to church. I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about trying to learn more about this God thing. But man, I've heard that, you mess up, you're done. It's kind of like one of those things, and I've had to wrestle with this in my life, where I finally came to this epiphany, right? Of like, I'm making God so small if I think that I chose to follow him wholeheartedly, right? I'm following him. I'm trying to do my best daily, and I am striving to die to self daily, right? And I do something stupid and cross the street, and a truck just plows over me and I die. I'm making God so small that I think that I'm going to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe I dropped a few curse words and I was mad at something, and I stormed across the street and got nailed by a truck, and I'm done. And now I'm, gonna see God, and he's like, you were doing great. And then
you were on track.
You were on track, man. You were doing awesome. And then right there on that curb, like, I don't know I don't even know why you went off like that. And then you cross the street and a truck plows you over and you're here. Sorry, man. There's eternity over there. Like, and I think people, they really, I don't know so much anymore, but I know I used to think like this. And and it's scary, because it's like, oh no, I cut that person off, or whatever, as a kid, especially, right? Like I used to think the rapture happened all the time if my parents weren't home. Like I did something wrong.
Oh, man, that's scary.
Oh, dude. And this is before like cell phones and all this stuff. So I'd be at home and I'm like, they should be back. And they're not back yet. I'm like, huh. And then I'm like, who do I call? Like, should I call my grandma? Because for sure she went. Like, there's no way she got left behind. Like, I'm like, what's going on?
If she's answers, I'm okay.
I'm good, right? But it's just making God so small to think that you mess up, and yeah,
and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to over, think this or too much, but yeah, I think it's it. If I mess up, I'm out. So if I don't want to raise the bar, so that way this is expected of me, and that I could blow it. Same with, like you're saying, maybe going into church, and if I mess up, if I'm not, in the mold, or if I say the wrong things or the wrong terms, right? I'm going to the pew and I don't do the little curtsy thing and move my hands right, whatever it is. Wow, I think I insulted
curtsy.
I just insulted an
entire denomination. You just like, hey, you know what?
But wasn't meant to be that way, but we'll probably keep it anyway. Okay. It's so right. If I'm don't do all this, and then the same like pours into like belonging to the group of friends, or to people at work, or if I talk about God or stuff like that, then people expect that I'm perfect, that, if they see me in a church, what are you doing here, man? This is the last person and even with the family, if I start to, let my wife, if I, hey, I want to do devotions or stuff like that, and I don't know as much as she does, or I have the wrong stories, and I'm talking about, Jonah, fighting the giant or something, right? Then all of a sudden I've blown it and I don't belong and things like that. So I just don't want to even step up. And I think could be a problem why so many men decide just to I'll just be average instead. I won't step into these things. And guys, we want so much more for that for you, for your family, to be more than average, for you to be belonging, for you to have a place of belonging, and to know that you're just not going to kick out because of the wrong things. God's not going to do that. Your family's not going to do that. If the friends, they're good friends, they're not going to do that anyway. Right. And, like Brad said, you got to surround yourselves with people who are going to love and who are going to be ahead, behind, and beside you, to be able to embrace those things and help you overcome the failings and not just sit in those. But so we're going to keep talking about this kind of stuff and a lot more. And, we're going to, have guests. We're going to, be really delving into some of the real topics that are affecting men. But so want you to hit the subscribe button or the follow button, whatever you're listening to, whatever that has, and keep listening to us. And until then, just keep being better than your average man.
Amen.